My name is Juno, and I haven't had the easiest life. Growing up, my parents always treated my older brother Jeff and me differently. While I would get scolded for anything that I did, he was always praised. If he broke something, my parents would blame me, even if it was obvious that I had done nothing wrong. They always favored Jeff because he was smart and looked exactly like our father, whereas I didn't look like either of my parents. Even when we occasionally got into fights, our parents always would take Jeff's side despite the fact that most of the time he would hit me, and I never retaliated. My family owned a corporation that manufactured car parts, and my father was the CEO while my mother handled the finances. Even though they made good money, I knew that they would never pay for my college tuition, so I made plans to find a job once I graduated high school. I knew that it would be hard for me to make enough money to live off of and go to school, but I also knew that it would be worth it. But then, one day my parents came home and sat me down. "Listen, Juno, your mother and I have made a decision about your future." My heart skipped a beat. I was skeptical about what they were going to say, but I was also incredibly hopeful that they might tell me that they would pay for my schooling.
Yes, this is very good news.
"You are young, but we have made arrangements for you to be married." "You can't be serious? How could you do this to me?"
Oh, we are serious and you've been useless. This arranged marriage will benefit our company as we are marrying you to the niece of the owner of Timo Corporation. They are one of our biggest clients.
"But I'm 18. What if I don't love this woman?" "What's the problem? I assumed you would be interested in being set up with an older woman." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But the next day, they told me to clean up and then get dressed in a brand new suit that they had bought for me. Looking in the mirror, I was amazed to see how well it fit and how distinguished it made me look. They even bought me hair products and cologne to use. Later that day, we drove over to a mansion with a tall gate surrounding it. Once inside, we were escorted to a room where a large woman was sitting waiting for us.
Hello there. Oh my, but aren't you the handsome young man? You will be marrying my niece Kendra, although I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I had a bit of fun with you too.
So then this will make things between our companies square.
Yes. I will sign off on the contracts and give you more work, and the debt that you accumulated will be forgiven as well. I wouldn't normally let so much money go, but hopefully this handsome and energetic young man will make up for it. I can't wait to get him upstairs.
I was mortified. I had never met a woman who was so lecherous. Shocked, I tried to get my parents' attention so that I could get out of this situation, but they ignored me. Suddenly, a pair of security guards showed up and escorted me to a large room on the second floor. Once we were alone, Beatrice began to act even more inappropriately.
Oh yes, you are a handsome thing.
She slowly began to approach me, and I didn't like the look in her eyes. Just before she was about to lay a hand on me, though, I heard a call through the door.
"Hello, Aunt Beatrice, are you in there?"
Oh damn, well young man, maybe we'll have some fun later. Yes, Kendra, please come in.
Hello, who is this?
This is your new husband.
Husband? Are you serious?
Yes, it's well past time that you were married. People will think something is wrong with you that you are 25 and unmarried.
What is your name and how old are you?
My name is Juno, and I'm 18.
18? Aunt Beatrice, are you crazy?
What's the problem? He is young and full of energy, and he's handsome as well. If you're truly unhappy, then just enjoy him for a few years and then find someone else.
I can't believe you. That's the reason that you've never been married. You treat men like napkins. You use them and discard them without a care in the world.
I didn't know what to say, but the way that Kendra looked at her aunt, I knew that something was up. They had a very strained relationship. I was worried that Kendra would be very similar to her aunt, but over the next few months as I got to know her, she was actually very kind and had a good heart. Some nights she would come home late from work, and I would prepare a meal, and we would talk the whole night about our interests and what we did that day. I found her work so incredibly fascinating, and I admired her work ethic. Slowly, we got to know each other, and found out that we had the same taste in music, books, and TV shows. Although it had been arranged against my will, I was actually beginning to fall for Kendra. I later found out that Kendra's parents had owned the company she worked for, and that they had passed away when she was very young. Her aunt had taken over since she was too young to run the company. Thankfully, Kendra constantly put herself between her aunt and me. More than once, her Aunt Beatrice tried to get me alone with her, but Kendra always made sure that it didn't happen. I know some guys would jump at the chance to be with an older woman, but I had no interest in Beatrice, especially since I was falling for Kendra, although I didn't say anything. One day, she came home rather upset, and I tried to comfort her. "What's wrong, Kendra? Did you have a bad day?"
Oh, hello there, Juno. Yeah, it was a really tough one. I wish I could tell you more, but I can't at the moment. But don't worry. I have a plan to make sure that this will be my last tough day.
I didn't understand what she meant, and she wouldn't elaborate. It was hard, but I had faith that she knew what she was doing. That night we curled up on the couch and watched movies to relax. A few nights later, I was home alone when I heard the front door open and close. Thinking that it was Kendra coming home, I went to greet her and was shocked to see that it was Beatrice.
There's the young man that I want.
How did you get in here?
I have a spare key, of course. Now come here. My niece can't be the only one that has some fun with you.
Stop it. Please, I'm with Kendra and this is wrong.
Are you sure? Because if you turn me down, I can end all the contracts with your parents' company and they will go bankrupt. Besides, I always get what I want.
Before she could lay a hand on me, Kendra burst into the room.
Stop it, Aunt.
No, I will not. How dare you deny me what I want? I'm your boss, and if I hadn't taken care of you after your parents passed away, then you would be on the street.
That won't fly anymore. As of this afternoon, the Board of Trustees voted you out. You've kept me from taking over the company for too long. They chose me to replace you.
You can't be serious. I won't allow you to take the company from me.
You have no say in the matter. The board discovered all the illicit things you've been up to, bribing, embezzling money, and fraud. I've been waiting for this opportunity for a while.
Just then, 2 police officers came into the room and dragged Beatrice out. It turned out that Kendra had been investigating Beatrice and found that she was doing many illegal things with the company and its money, and had worked both with the Board of Trustees and the police to end her tyranny. As a result, she was finally able to take control of the company, as she was supposed to all along.
And Juno, I got you this.
She hesitantly pulled divorce papers out of a pocket in her suit jacket.
I know this isn't the ideal situation for you. With this, you can do whatever you like.
To be honest, though, that isn't what I want. I would much prefer to stay with you.
Are you sure? You don't mind that I'm older and kind of a workaholic?
Not at all. The time that we've spent together has made me realize that I have fallen in love with you. I could tell by the look in her eyes that she felt the same, and with joy, she tore up the paperwork and we kissed. The months that followed were filled with a lot of hard work. Kendra made it her mission to clean up the company and remove all of the illegal activity that her aunt had been involved in. Part of that affected my family's business as well, though. It turned out that they were involved in a lot of bribery, and Kendra refused to do business with them anymore. My parents tried to call me and get me to convince Kendra to change her mind, but I blocked their number and ignored them. There was no way that I was going to jeopardize my marriage for them. After all, they sold me off, and even though it was turning out to be the best thing to ever happen to me, I still resented them for it. Months later, I found out that they ended up having to sell off their company as they were bankrupt and were forced to even sell their home as well. The last thing that I heard was that they were buried in debt, and that both my parents and brother were living paycheck to paycheck in a small dirty apartment in a bad neighborhood. And as for Beatrice, well, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison for all the crimes that she had committed. As for me, Kendra paid for me to go to college, and after I graduated, I joined her company as an accountant, and eventually worked my way up to be the head of finances. It was quite rewarding. And even though my wife owned the company, I was never shown favoritism and had to work hard to prove myself, which I found rewarding. Today, we couldn't be happier. And not only has our company grown, but our family has as well. We have a wonderful son and are expecting a daughter any day now. Thanks for watching. Please, like the video for the algorithm.
After we eat, Mom makes sure to tell the staff that it's Emily's birthday, and they bring out a big chocolate cake that Mom custom orders beforehand, with Emily's face plastered in the frosting. I hate chocolate, and every year they get it. We're twins. Why does it only ever have Emily's face on the cake? It's my birthday too.
When you get a prettier face, you can be on the cake too.
Even though she's my twin sister, my family always thought Emily was better than me. For whatever reason, my family was really shallow and placed a lot of value on looks. Growing up, Emily never had any of the problems that I did. She was always fit, never had any acne, and had no problem making friends wherever she went. She wasn't just perfect with her looks. She was always top of her class and the top player in any sport. She was everything that I wasn't, and they always reminded me of it.
It boggles my mind how you and Emily are identical sisters, but no one would ever tell that from looking at the two of you.
Good thing one of you got your mother's good looks and my brain. You should study more to be more like her.
We're identical twins. How can you say we don't look alike?
Your nose is definitely bigger.
This went on for years, and despite knowing that she was the favorite, I would still try to impress my parents, to make them acknowledge my existence. I couldn't compete with all the beauty pageants that Emily won or the grades that she brought home to show them, but I still tried anyway. Around age 14, I started spending more time at after-school activities, so I wouldn't have to be around my family so much. I enrolled myself in as many activities as I could. I was happy with how busy I became and didn't have time to think about my parents and Emily. But it quickly backfired on me. In my pursuit of finding who I was outside of my family, I had forgotten how popular Emily was at school. In all of the activities, when I would walk in the room, everyone's eyes would light up, thinking I was her.
Emily, I thought you said you couldn't make the drama audition because of the volleyball tournament.
Did you get enough sleep last night? You look off. Your nose is a little swollen, too. Did you bump your nose or something?
I'm not Emily. I'm her twin.
Oh, thank goodness! I was really worried there for a second. I thought something horrible had happened to her to make her look like that.
Most days after school, I would lock myself in my room, trying to forget that I was a twin. I would lay awake thinking about what my life would have been like had I been born 2 minutes later and her 2 minutes earlier. Would she live the life I was having now? Or was she truly better than me like everyone else said she was? Every summer, my parents would take a trip to their lakeside house, and they would take Emily with them. They would always leave me at the house, saying that I needed to stay to take care of our family dog. When they first started doing this, I would get upset at their stupid excuse to leave me behind and forget that they had an ugly daughter. As I got older, I started to appreciate the time alone that I would get away from them. I would crank music up loud and let it echo throughout the house, dancing as hard as I could. Only Angus could see me anyways. He would lay in his dog bed and watch me as I sang and danced in joy. Then it occurred to me, is this what my life be like without Emily in it? Without her always looming over with how much better she was, and without my parents constantly telling me? My life changed with that thought as a new goal formed within me. I had to get away from them, whatever the cost. I was fairly lucky for most of high school to not have her in most of my classes, but my luck ran out junior year. We had biology together. Everyone would flock to her when it came time to do class projects, and I was often stuck with someone who mistook me for her. There was a particularly challenging partner project that our teacher, Ms. Rodnick, assigned in the middle of the year. By this point, everyone knew who the smart students were, and who were the ones you wanted to avoid if you wanted a good grade. Me and the girl who sat next to me were the students to avoid.
Why doesn't anyone ever want to partner with you? Me, I can understand, but you get good grades.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone call a D a good grade.
Still better than what I've been getting. Do you want to partner up for the project? We've been sitting next to each other all year, and I don't think I even know your name. I just know it's not Emily.
Tanya.
Hannah. For the record, I don't get what the big deal is about your sister. Frankly, I think anyone could look however they wanted if they learned how to do makeup.
Makeup, you say? From that point on, Hannah and I were inseparable. She was the first person who thought I was smart. The frosting on the cake? She didn't like Emily. We would do everything together. The more I got to know her, the more we found in common with one another. She had moved from another state because she was so badly bullied at her old school. She told me that she saw a lot of herself in me when I explained about Emily and my parents. For the first time in my life, I had found someone who seemed to actually care about me. She was like the stereotypical sister that I would see in the movies. We went shopping and talked about boys. I told her that I could never really think about anyone like that because I was so unattractive. At this, she became angry. "No one is ugly, least of all you," she said as she shook me. "You're sleeping over tonight, and we're binge-watching makeup tutorials until you can figure out how to get that thought out of your head." We did this for weeks, practicing makeup on each other, making each other look like all these YouTube makeup influencers. It was during these sleepovers that I first experienced the sensation of looking in the mirror and feeling beautiful. I was so relieved and happy that I cried while Hannah patted my back lovingly. It was then that I became passionate about making other people feel the same way, making others feel beautiful with makeup. I began to practice on myself at home more and more regularly. As I was walking out the door one day to go to school, my mom was particularly nice to me.
Why are you so quiet this morning, dear? You always say goodbye to me before you leave.
I never say goodbye to you.
Tanya, I thought you were Emily. Get out of here. You're late.
It was a bittersweet moment then. I had gotten good enough at makeup for my mom to confuse me with Emily, but still. Senior year, Hannah did something for me that I will never forget. My birthday was coming up quickly, and Hannah wanted to do something to celebrate. I told her I wanted to ignore it. My birthday is usually the day that I hate the most. Every year, they take both of us to a fancy restaurant. It's always humiliating. Emily always get an amazingly beautiful birthday dress for the occasion, and I'm stuck wearing the dress that she got last year that she doesn't want anymore. Even though we're twins, our bodies aren't quite the same. While the dresses look amazing on her, they fit me awkwardly, with loose bunches of fabric everywhere. To make matters worse, Emily would always soak her old dress in vinegar before giving it to me. I could never get rid of the smell no matter how many times I washed it. It's the only dress I could possibly wear to the birthday dinner, and I make other restaurant goers gag as I walk by. The three of them think it's hilarious and laugh as we walk to the table. After we eat, Mom makes sure to tell the staff that it's Emily's birthday, and they bring out a big chocolate cake that Mom custom orders beforehand, with Emily's face plastered in the frosting. I hate chocolate, and every year they get it. We're twins. Why does it only ever have Emily's face on the cake? It's my birthday too.
When you get a prettier face, you can be on the cake too.
I told Hannah about why I hated my birthdays, and she became furious.
You know what? You're getting a new birthday. The day before your birthday is all about you. You were born first, so you should celebrate first anyways. Keep your day open, okay?
I was skeptical, but she had already proven that I could trust her, so I agreed. She was really adamant about it. The weeks that led up to my birthday, I grew more and more curious. I would ask Hannah for more details, but she would just smile at me. The day before my birthday finally came, and I had no idea what to expect. I kept checking my phone for text messages from Hannah, but there was nothing. I heard Emily squealing downstairs all of a sudden. "Oh my gosh, you guys got me a limo this year?" I looked out the window and a long black limo laid in our street. Before my parents could respond, Emily ran out to the limo and tried to open the door. It was locked. Hannah popped her head up from inside and yelled to me, "Get your beautiful butt in here, Tanya." Emily stood with her jaw dropped. As I ran down the stairs, my parents tried to stop me. "Where are you going? Where did you get the money to rent a limo?" I ignored them as I rushed through the door. Outside, Emily was motionless as Hannah stepped outside of the limo, brandishing the most beautiful dress I had ever seen. "Is this for me?"
Of course. I had my dad custom fit it to fit you perfectly. No vinegar smell either.
"Where did you get this limo?"
Oh, my brother owns his own limo company, and he let me borrow this one to take you to your surprise.
We got into the limo together and drove away from my house. My parents stood on the porch watching me drive away. Emily stood in the parking lot, her mouth still ajar with her eyes still wide in disbelief. So what's the surprise?
Remember how you did my mom's friend's makeup? Her name is Justina Caldone. I didn't tell you because I thought you would be nervous, but she's actually a successful fashion designer who was looking for a makeup artist for her latest show. It was like a job interview, really. She was really impressed. We're going to the show now. You're doing the model's makeup.
What? Really? That was one of the most magical nights of my life. I had never seen so many people in such extravagant clothing before. The dress that Hannah got me fit wonderfully. As I moved to each model, I felt almost as if I was gliding across the floor. Each one was super impressed with their makeup and told me how skilled I was and how beautiful I looked. After the show ended, Hannah presented me with a giant vanilla cake with my face on it. I never cried so much in one night before. It was a happy cry. While the two of us were eating the cake, Justina asked if I would become her full-time makeup artist. I readily agreed. Immediately after graduation, I moved out of my parents' house. For the next 5 years, I traveled with her abroad, working alongside her. My face was always on the cover of some magazine talking about what an up-and-comer I was. Eventually, I got enough traction to start my own makeup company. It's doing great. I'd never in my wildest dreams have thought I'd be where I am today. I don't think my parents or Emily thought I ever would either. 7 years after Hannah gave me that new birthday, I received a call. Hello.
Is this Tanya? It's your mother.
Hmm?
Listen, I know we didn't always treat you the best growing up, but look at where you are now. We're in a bit of trouble now and could use some help.
Mom explained that shortly after I moved out, Emily became obsessed with her image. She became addicted to plastic surgery and would have Mom and Dad pay for the procedures. They quickly cut her off and refused to pay, so she would steal the money from them. Mom and Dad are penniless now, and they're at risk of losing their house. Emily ran away after a botched nose job surgery, and they have no idea where she is.
Can you help us? Everywhere I look, I see how successful you are. I know we weren't the kindest to you growing up, but I think if you look in your heart, you'll see that we are the reason you've gotten to be where you are. You owe us. I'm your mother. This is the least you could do.
I am where I am because I worked my butt off to get away from you. I achieved that. Me. Good luck with the house, Linda. I hung up before she could respond, and I never heard from her again. A few weeks later, I heard my parents couldn't afford to pay their mortgage. They were kicked out of the house and are now living on the streets. They both work in a warehouse lifting boxes every day and are being bullied by the young, agile workers because they are slow and old. As for Emily, I saw on the news that she committed suicide after she was laughed at for her appearance and bullied. I have a new life now without them, a better one, and that's the best revenge I can get. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
Our mother spent all of her time on Veronica and was at her beck and call. Sometimes she wouldn't even get the chance to cry before our mother was there, doting on her every need. Veronica grew up into a healthy young girl, but our mother didn't stop doting on her. My other siblings and I were always in the background. While our mother raised Veronica, I basically raised the other two. The rest of my siblings and I didn't want much, but Veronica demanded everything.
I need a new phone. This isn't the right brand.
I will get you a new one, darling Kelsey.
My other siblings and I were given used or passed down things, but she needed brand new. My mom always gave in to her demands. Hi, my name is Kelsey, and I'm 24 with 3 siblings. Life was good when it was just me and my mom, but she wanted more children, and after my youngest sister Veronica was born, everything changed. When Veronica was born, she was a very sick baby. Doctor after doctor came to see her, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Our mother kept trying. She refused to give up on Veronica, and eventually she found the doctor who was able to cure Veronica. After that, our family dynamic changed, after our dad died in a car accident. Our mother spent all of her time on Veronica and was at her beck and call. Sometimes she wouldn't even get the chance to cry before our mother was there, doting on her every need. Veronica grew up into a healthy young girl, but our mother didn't stop doting on her. My other siblings and I were always in the background. While our mother raised Veronica, I basically raised the other two. The rest of my siblings and I didn't want much, but Veronica demanded everything.
I need a new phone. This isn't the right brand.
I will get you a new one, darling Kelsey.
My other siblings and I were given used or passed down things, but she needed brand new. My mom always gave in to her demands. I need shoes for school.
Too bad. I need my nails done.
Can't you use the ones you have?
They have holes in them, and the weather app says it's going to rain this week.
Just tape them up. It's picture day tomorrow, and I want my nails done.
You would think shoes would take priority, but our mom took Veronica out anyway, and she came home that same day with a new manicure. Even when it came to medical needs, Veronica always got the best care. One time, my brother broke his leg when he was 10 and I was 18. I had to drive him to the hospital because our mother was at Veronica's ballet rehearsal, where she skinned her knee and was rushed to the doctor right away. My mom got mad because I was with my brother, and she demanded I visit Veronica to show my support.
Where were you? I need to go find the nurse. None of the beds are made and Veronica needs to lay down on one of them.
She just skinned her knee. Why does she need a bed?
Because my knee hurts. I can't play Ophelia if my knee scars. What if people can see it through the leggings? Kelsey's just jealous because I am talented.
At least one of my daughters is going to be a star. No, of course, darling. Kelsey wouldn't want to take that away from you by being unsupportive again. Would you, Kelsey?
Kelsey's just jealous. She's a talentless hack. You'll be watching me be the amazing one our whole lives. You may as well get the practice in now.
Fine, I can watch her. I knew our mom wouldn't budge when it came to her favorite daughter, so I gave in. Then she left us alone in the room to go bother the nurses. Despite my promise, I didn't pay much attention to Veronica while our mother was gone because I was more worried about our brother. She didn't complain about her knee to me, and I was fine with that until I realized she was being really quiet. Too quiet. I finally looked over at her and caught her shoving some of the free lollipops into her pockets. The jar said to only take one, but she had emptied it completely. I scolded her, not that it would do much, but I didn't really think about it. When our mother came back, Veronica cried about me yelling at her, and I got in trouble, but I was used to it by then. So, when things started going missing over the years, I always had the lollipop incident in the back of my head. If anyone left money out, or any clothes, makeup, or jewelry, it would disappear. When both of my brothers went to a baseball game for a school trip, they came home excited about a signed fly ball they caught. It was their prized possession for 3 days before it went missing. I didn't have any proof it was Veronica, but her things never went missing. My other siblings and I were getting fed up. We all knew it was Veronica, but it didn't matter how many times we told our mother or who told her. So, I came up with the perfect revenge that would finally break the spell Veronica had over our mother. My brothers wanted to help. I need both of you to find that family heirloom, the necklace from Mom's grandma. I think she keeps it hidden in her room. I've been saving up money to buy a camera, and I finally have one. We're going to catch Veronica this time. They both nodded, and we got to work setting up our trap for Veronica. My siblings managed to find our grandma's precious necklace, while our mother was out shopping for Veronica's favorite snacks. I set up the camera in a hidden spot, while my brothers put the necklace on the kitchen table where Veronica would easily find it. Then I texted Veronica to tell her our mother had brought home her snacks. Once the plan was in motion, my siblings and I hid and waited to see what she would do.
I just got the new Gucci handbag. Have you seen pics of it on my socials? I paid for it with the money I got for trading that stupid baseball. I have some left over. Let's go to the mall tomorrow and buy the new Samsung S24. The S23 is crap and so yesterday.
Then Veronica saw the necklace on the table.
Wow, you won't believe what I'm looking at. This has to be worth a fortune.
Veronica took the bait and right on camera too. We waited until she left. Then my brothers and I high-fived each other before grabbing the camera. The footage was in the perfect angle and showed not only Veronica stealing our mother's family heirloom, but also caught Veronica's conversation admitting to stealing from our siblings. Our mother came home 20 minutes later, and we sat her down as soon as she got in the door. I showed her the footage on the camera, which proved Veronica was stealing from everyone this whole time. Our mother didn't believe it at first, even with the proof, but she quickly went to look for her necklace and saw it was missing. She went to Veronica's room and searched it, finding the family heirloom under her pillow. Then our mother began to search the whole room despite Veronica's crying, finding some of the missing clothes and makeup.
Veronica, how could you do this? You know how important this necklace is to me and you wanted to sell it? You need to return everything right now and you have to apologize to your siblings.
That's not fair. I can't get it all back. I sold most of it already.
Well, you can sell your own clothes then and pay everyone back for the things you stole. Also, you're grounded, so this better never happen again.
But of course, that wasn't the end of things. Since she had been caught stealing from us and had many of her more precious belongings sold to pay for the things she had taken from us, she desperately sought out a way to reclaim what she felt that she deserved. But that meant getting her hands on something valuable that she could sell, and she knew that she couldn't steal from us, as that would only land her in deeper hot water. And so, she decided to ignore the fact that she was grounded and go next door to our neighbor's house, and while they were away at work, see if they had anything that was worth taking. Unfortunately for her, though, seconds after she snuck into their house, she discovered that they had recently bought a guard dog. Once she was in the house, she was trapped with the animal who was only defending their home. The dog saw her as a threat and lunged at her and tore into her leg viciously. By the time the owners came home, they found Veronica outside their back door with a lot of deep wounds on her leg. She had tried to limp away but wasn't able to get far. The police showed up and found that the back door had been broken into, and once they determined that Veronica had broken in, they charged her with breaking and entering. As soon as our mother found out that Veronica broke into our neighbor's house, she grew furious. I had never known her to get that upset, especially with Veronica. But she yelled at her for hours in the hospital. The doctors told her that although she would heal, that she would forever walk with a limp and would have dozens of permanent scars from all the dog bites. Finally, our mother saw Veronica for who she really was, and she was incredibly depressed by what her actions had created. I think for the first time, she realized that her actions had directly created the environment that had created Veronica to be the person that she was. And while I felt sympathy for our mother, I also finally felt vindicated that she at least realized her mistakes. After that, she did start being far more strict with Veronica and started being far more attentive to the rest of us. If nothing else, it really helped to open our mother's eyes, and things finally felt a bit more fair around the house. Sometimes I pity Veronica, but then it serves her right for stealing. What do you think? He wasn't wrong, though. Our parents did indeed give him a lot of praise and attention, while they only ever yelled at me and even occasionally slapped me. Vincent, can't you do anything right? Why can't you be more like your older brother and get straight A's? I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm trying my best. And I do get good marks, just not as high as Scott's. Hi there, my name is Vincent, and my brother and I have always had a terrible rivalry. It wasn't something that we had chosen to engage in, really, but our parents pretty much encouraged it. Well, actually, they pretty much forced it upon us. They always considered my older brother Scott to be their golden child. After all, he got better grades than I did, and he was always better at sports as well. I truly did try, though, but no matter how much I studied or how hard I trained, I just couldn't compete with him. Not to mention, I knew that Scott would one day be given my father's company, and I would be expected to be one of his employees, which meant that I would always be his servant, and that terrified me. My father owned a company that manufactured car parts, and he would constantly tell Scott that he would one day be given the company. Poor stupid Vincent. Such a shame that you're too stupid. Will you stop rubbing it in? School isn't a contest. Oh, but that's where you're wrong. It's a contest for mom and dad's attention and love, and you're losing big time. Ha, I'm just surprised that they chose to keep you instead of abandoning you at the side of the road. But then again, who would be my slave once we were older if they did that? I can't wait to constantly make you do the dirtiest and most awful jobs at the factory. He wasn't wrong, though. Our parents did indeed give him a lot of praise and attention, while they only ever yelled at me and even occasionally slapped me. Vincent, can't you do anything right? Why can't you be more like your older brother and get straight A's? I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm trying my best. And I do get good marks, just not as high as Scott's.
Well, it isn't good enough. Every time you bring home these subpar grades, we get more and more disappointed in you.
It was so demoralizing, and their constant abuse was beginning to make me feel constantly afraid. Every time I would receive a mark that was less than an A, I knew that they would yell at me until I cried, and more than likely would slap me hard enough to split my lip, while Scott just would watch and laugh at my pain. It got so bad that the sound of my father's feet coming up the stairs of our house would put me into panic mode. I just couldn't take much more of it, and so on the day when I turned 18, I quickly packed my bags and left a note saying that I wouldn't live with them another minute and that I was leaving. An hour after I left the house, my phone rang, and it was my parents. "What on earth do you think you are doing? Get back here right now." "There's no way that I will. I'm done with putting up with your abuse, and having the only thing to look forward to is to put up with Scott's abuse for the rest of my life. I'm an adult now, and I don't know what I'll end up doing, but regardless of what it is, it will be far better than the future that you and Mom planned for me." And with that, I hung up. It was true that I didn't really have much of a plan, but I did know that anything would be better than living with those cruel people. After a few more hours, I began to get hungry, and so I wandered into a restaurant that specialized in noodles. And after enjoying a very delicious meal, I saw that they were hiring, and I asked the owner if I could apply. "Please, sir, can I apply to work in your kitchen?" "You? You want to work here? Shouldn't you be going off to college at your age?" I told him about my life and what I had done, and he was incredibly sympathetic. "Oh wow, that's a pretty tragic story. I'll tell you what, there's a small bachelor's apartment above the restaurant that you can use, and I'll train you and teach you everything I know. But you have to work incredibly hard and show me that you deserve it. Do we have a deal?" I of course agreed. Not only was this a way to make money, but it came with a place to stay as well. Over the next few weeks, Gordon taught me all of his recipes and even allowed me to experiment and come up with a few of my own, some of which began to attract more and more patrons to the restaurant. I had impressed Gordon with how quickly I was learning how to cook, and he was doubly impressed that my cooking skills were increasing his sales as well. So much so that he gave me a handsome raise and approached me with an idea. "Hey, listen, you've done amazing things here, and in an incredibly short time too. What do you say about maybe expanding this business with me?" "What do you mean?" "Well, I own property on the other side of town, and I was wondering if you would run a noodle shop there, like a franchise. You would have to hire your own staff and train them, and I would definitely increase your salary. What do you think?" It sounded like a great idea to me, so of course I agreed. The first few weeks were very stressful, but my staff and I began to work well together like a well-oiled machine, and before long, we were making massive profits. We were doing so well that Gordon came to me and asked if I thought that we should expand again. At first, I looked at him like he was crazy, but then I realized that it hadn't been that difficult to train the new staff and get them to a point where they were making money. "Gordon, I think it's a crazy idea but a brilliant one too. I think we should definitely keep expanding, but I'll only do it on one condition." "What's your condition?" "That we do it as partners. After seeing how well you got this location in Shapey, I think you have a deal." And just like that, we became business partners. Before long, we had over 20 restaurants all over the country, and were making plans to open new ones in the neighboring countries as well. As it turned out, my expertise was never in math or anything I learned in school, but in making good business relationships. I was good with people, and that made me a great businessman. After a few years, we had grown quite the empire, and it was at that time that I got a phone call from my brother. I had always suspected that my family might reach out one day, but definitely was not prepared for what he demanded of me. "Hey doofus, so I've heard some good things about you. Hey Scott, what exactly do you want?" "Easy there, little man. I'm just calling to give you a great opportunity. How would you like to invest in Dad's company?" "Dad's company? What are you talking about?" "Dad and I heard that you came into a little bit of money, and we wanted to give you a chance of helping the family out. How does 20% of the company in exchange for $1 million sound?" It sounded like a scam to me, but I wasn't going to let on that I smelled deceit. "That sounds like a pretty great idea. Let me talk to my financial advisor and see how I can shift some money around. I'll call you in a few days, okay?" The second after I hung up the phone, I began scouring the internet for information about my father's company, and what I found made me laugh. As it turned out, the factory had been understaffed because of poor management and had been producing poor quality parts. Because of this, they had been losing contracts, and the value of the company plummeted to less than $250,000. My brother and father were indeed trying to scam me, but I wasn't going to fall for their nonsense. With this evaluation in mind, I then called the bank where my father's business dealt with and inquired about the status of his company. They told me that my father was in serious trouble. He had gained a significant amount of debt as he had kept borrowing money to keep his business afloat, and that if he didn't pay the bank $250,000 by the end of the week, that the company would be sold off to cover his debts. Hearing this gave me an idea, and all I had to do was wait a few days. All that week, my brother and father kept calling me and leaving messages on my voicemail, demanding that I call them back immediately. Of course, I never did, until Saturday, that is. "Hey Dad, it's been a while since we've spoken. How are you doing?" "Terrible. You missed the deadline, and now the company is in ruin." "Are you happy? You ruined the family business." "No, Dad. You and Scott ruined the family business. As of a couple hours ago. I saved the family business, but I did it for much less than what you have been demanding from me." "What are you talking about?" "Well, it's really simple. I bought your company from the bank, which means I'm now your boss. And as my first act as your boss, both you and Scott are fired." "Ha! You can't be serious." "Oh, I very much am. In fact, security guards should be entering your office right now to escort you and Scott off of my property." Just then, I could hear a scuffle as security guards dragged my father and brother out of their office and out of the building. The sounds of their wailing as they were dragged away was music to my ears. Months later, I had been able to broker new contracts for the factory and had hired experts in the industry to fix the many issues that had plagued the company under my father's and brother's leadership. With some elbow grease and the skills I had learned working with Gordon, I was able to make the company profitable again. I still maintained my partnership with Gordon, of course, but I figured that it didn't hurt to diversify a bit. As for my parents and brother, after being kicked out of their company, they tried to sue me, but my lawyers made sure to tie them up in court until they ran out of money. Now the three of them work minimum wage jobs and occasionally try to call me to yell at me for ruining their lives. The tragedy of it is that they, of course, did this to themselves, but are too stubborn to see it that way. So in the end, I got the last laugh. My parents had always treated me terribly and treated Scott like a winner, but in the end, I proved that they had backed the wrong son. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Sky was already 3 by then. My parents didn't take her to kindergarten. Instead, they started to homeschool her. Why homeschool? Why can't she go out like other kids? Because she's not other kids, Troy. She's our Sky, our princess, our sunshine.
How can you even compare Sky to others? Look at her. Have you seen any child as pretty as her?
Yeah? The neighbor's new baby is prettier than Sky.
Ugh! Just get out. Go into your room or something. Just take your negativity away.
Yeah, I was being negative around their princess. Talk about irresponsible parents, and all I can think of is mine. Hi, I'm Troy. I was aged 6 when my parents had Sky, my younger sister. When I saw her for the first time, I thought she was heavenly. She had those huge eyes that gazed at me fearlessly, and curly hair that I envied. She was also chubby, unlike me who was really skinny. Overall, she was a healthy baby. Now, before her birth, my parents had made it quite clear to me that they weren't fans of male children. My dad would tell me stories about how they planned for a baby girl right from when they were dating. They'd even selected names. They never thought about having a boy. Honestly, when we got your gender, we were both disappointed. We wanted a girl. I didn't know what to feel then, but I can say now that I certainly didn't like it. I mean, if they wanted a girl that badly and couldn't get one at first, they didn't have to make me feel guilty for it. Anyway, my sister was brought back home from the hospital, and she took all of my parents' attention. They were always looking after her, barely sparing me a glance, or even speaking to me. Since I was quite grown already, and was a little used to it prior, I began to take care of myself. I would wake up early, get ready for school, and leave alone after fixing breakfast for myself. I did that until I finished junior school and graduated to high school. Sky was already 3 by then. My parents didn't take her to kindergarten. Instead, they started to homeschool her. Why homeschool? Why can't she go out like other kids? Because she's not other kids, Troy. She's our Sky, our princess, our sunshine.
How can you even compare Sky to others? Look at her. Have you seen any child as pretty as her?
Yeah? The neighbor's new baby is prettier than Sky.
Ugh, just get out. Go into your room or something. Just take your negativity away.
Yeah, I was being negative around their princess. I walked away and went to my room. Sky grew up very quickly. Before I knew it, she was 6 already. She was adorable, but I always avoided her because being with her brought issues with my parents. Once, I tried to switch channels when I saw that she was asleep. But as soon as I touched the remote control, she opened her eyes and asked me to put it down. But you're asleep. I'm not even gonna watch for too long.
Well, you didn't ask for my permission to change it, so I'm not gonna let you.
I was desperate. It was my favorite show. I went on my knees and begged her before she finally let me change it. I wouldn't do so, usually, but after getting beaten thrice for doing something without her permission, I learned to do so. When I finished high school at 18, she was in her final year in junior school. I wanted to further my education, but my parents complained about lack of money. We're going to take a loan. That's the only way we can actually afford to help you get that law degree you want. But you have to wait an extra year. They gave no reason to wait an extra year, but I agreed. However, I didn't just idle at home doing nothing. I got a part-time job. After a year, I'd secretly saved quite an impressive amount of money. I also applied for scholarships. Finally, I was lucky to be among those who got one of them. They were going to cover my tuition until I finished, but I had to do other basic things myself. I was satisfied with it. My parents had taken the loan already. They'd received the sum of $180,000. I'd saved up $7,000, and I needed $43,000 more to cover everything I'll be needing. Eventually, my parents gave me from the loan, and it was all settled, and I left home for college. I didn't want to be at home with my parents and have to face Sky's shenanigans. Life in college was cool. I made like-minded friends, and I studied hard. Eventually, 5 years later, I was done with college. My parents and sister attended my graduation, and I was shocked to see the luxurious display they brought in. One would think they were related to the president or something. I was quite embarrassed, but there was nothing I could do. After my graduation, I returned home. The next thing for me was to start practicing as a lawyer. However, one day, I received an email from the bank claiming I owed $137,000 alongside interest that had accumulated. I couldn't believe my eyes. I left the house headed straight to the bank. There, I was informed that, contrary to what I'd thought, my parents didn't return the remaining money to the bank. I'd take only $47,000 out of $180,000. That meant they'd spent a whooping $133,000. I felt dizzy and had to grab onto a chair and sit down. When I got home, I confronted my parents, but I received the most shocking reply. Well, Sky needed the money more.
I mean, she's a girl. She has to look girly and have all the fun she can have. We had no other means to provide the things she needed, so we used the money. What's the big deal?
Right. What's your deal? You're gonna start making money soon, and you'll pay it off. You don't have to be so stressed about it. Hearing their words was even more stressful. They were so ignorant, so careless. I didn't know what to do. $137,000 was a lot for me. I stormed off to my room to think. After a long time, I finally came to a conclusion. I drafted out my plans and way of execution. The first plan fell in place when I got a job at a law firm. The pay was higher than I imagined. I was able to get the money for an apartment after working only 2 months. While wheeling my boxes out, my parents stopped me. When are you gonna pay the loan? You can't just leave. An apartment is more important. I'm saving up for it. Don't worry too much. I'll pay you back. Now, let me leave. As I turned to leave, I remembered something, causing me to stop and face them again. I hope that spoiled daughter of yours lives a good life. She looks like one who would get you both in deep shit.
Here we go with the negativity. It's better to see you go. Take your negativity out and call us when you're done paying the loan.
Without any more words, I left their house. I worked very hard at the firm. I was so good that I got a promotion in my second month. That meant more money. Soon, I'd succeeded in saving up the $43,000 I took from them. I made it all round up to $50,000 due to the interest payment. When I got home, I met Sky and a boy her age in the living room, with her on his lap. She immediately sprang up when she saw me.
Why are you here?
Are Mom and Dad home?
Obviously, they're not. What do you want?
I told her I was there to pay my part of the loan. While giving her the money, I took pictures. I also made videos, all to serve as evidence that I'd paid. Afterward, I left the house. That evening, I got a call from my mom. Apparently, Sky was a chronic gambler. She told my parents about the money I brought and also absconded with it, promising to return home after doubling it. My parents knew the money was gone, so they blamed me. They asked why I didn't pay it in full and why I didn't take it straight to the bank. Firstly, I didn't take the loan myself, so you should go to the bank and not me. Secondly, I used only $43,000 out of the money. The added one was for interest. Now, I'm cleared from everything I owe you guys. They couldn't believe their ears. They'd spent over $100,000 on Sky while I was in college, letting her party as she liked, sponsored her vacations, and even got her a car. I surely wasn't going to pay for that.
Troy, darling, don't do this to us. The bank will take up. Don't let your parents serve jail terms, Troy. Help us, please.
I had no help to render to them, and I let them know. I hung up the call and blocked their numbers. Well, 2 weeks later, the bank truly went to arrest them. Sky was still on the run, so only my parents were sentenced to 6 years each. According to the court, if Sky returned with the money, my parents would only serve 6 years. But if she didn't, then they'd be given more years. Fate seemed to be on my side. Sky wasn't caught until nearly a month later. The cops had shot her legs when she tried to escape. Nevertheless, after she was treated, the court sentenced her to 13 years imprisonment, while my parents got 2 years each added to theirs. The bank sold the house and Sky's car. After their jail terms, the debt was waiting for them. It's been 2 years since they went, and I haven't gone to see them. I do hope they regret their actions and turn a new leaf. I don't plan to be involved in their lives when they're released, though. Don't get me wrong. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
My parents were obvious about preferring my sister to me. They never let me go on excursions, never paid for any school events, delayed my tuition every time, and let me take public transport to school. However, my sister's case was the exact opposite. Whatever she needed was provided for her. My parents would boast about her everywhere they went while I was forgotten. I was older than my sister with 2 years, but my parents made sure the school put us in the same class. Hi, my name's Misun. In a few weeks, I'll be celebrating my 35th birthday. I live in my own apartment and have 2 companies of my own. I have no family except my husband and children, as I was disowned and kicked out by my very own parents years ago. Growing up, I wasn't much of a genius academically. However, I did my best and always emerged in the top 5. My parents didn't seem satisfied by that. Instead, they were only interested in my younger sister, Sujin, who never failed to top her class. We both used to be in the top 5, but from the moment we got into senior high school, she began to top the class. I wouldn't say that was the only reason they preferred her, but that was the main one. My parents were obvious about preferring my sister to me. They never let me go on excursions, never paid for any school events, delayed my tuition every time, and let me take public transport to school. However, my sister's case was the exact opposite. Whatever she needed was provided for her. My parents would boast about her everywhere they went while I was forgotten. I was older than my sister with 2 years, but my parents made sure the school put us in the same class. During our high school graduation, I was made to sit away from them. When I was acknowledged as the 5th best student, my parents didn't cheer. They ignored me and faced my sister instead, getting her ready for her award. As expected, she was the overall best. My parents cheered the most. They nearly followed her to receive the award. I was all alone, feeling bad and blaming myself for not being good enough. After the ceremony, I approached my family. My presence was unnoticed until I touched my mom. On our way home, I was made to listen to them praising my sister nonstop until we got home. We got into college together, and it was even worse there. I had a hard time trying to take in everything, but my genius sister seemed to be having it easy. As always, she topped the class. However, I was unable to be among the top 5 as I used to be. College wasn't so easy. After the results of our first exams were released, my parents flared up on seeing I was among the top 10.
You idiot! We barely managed you being in the top 5, and you had the guts to go even lower? What kind of a daughter are you? How could you do this to us, huh? Your sister topped her class again. Do you have no atom of shame in you?
This is the reason we love her more. She's better than you could ever be.
While they were yelling, my sister walked in.
You gotta study well, son. You're so terrible. I can't cope with the fact that you're my sister.
She's nothing but an unserious fellow. You shouldn't be speaking to her.
I just thought she needed to be told the truth. Son, don't you think you should drop out? Our parents barely have enough money for me. You should drop out so they can focus on me.
Yes, your sister's right. You should drop out and get a job or something. I don't think you're meant for education.
Consider that option. You don't have to worry about getting a job later in the future. Your sister's going to grow up and own her own hospital. You could work for her later on.
I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I'm going to work harder and emerge with a better result.
You know that's impossible, me son.
Yes, son. You don't have to try. You can't get better results.
I wouldn't know unless I try. Excuse me. I walked away from their presence and headed to my room where I buried my face in my pillow and cried. The next exams, I was in the top 5 again. I returned home filled with excitement, but as usual, my parents ruined it.
Your sister was the overall best again. Do you think we would be happy seeing you come third?
Get lost, loser. If only you could come right behind me. I know it's impossible for you to go past me, but at least quit being a loser and try being right behind me.
But I'm trying. I'm doing all my possible best to satisfy you all. This is unfair.
Unfair? You ungrateful wench. We let you stay at our house, put clothes on you, and even feed you. But what do you bring to us? Disappointment.
Ignore her, sweetheart. She can't help but try to pour her anger on someone.
If you say one more word, you'll get it from me. You good for nothing.
What did I ever do to y'all? You shouldn't have had me if all you planned to do was make me feel miserable every day of my life.
We do regret having you.
We would have been fine with our beautiful daughter.
You heard that, loser.
Why? Because she's brilliant and I'm average. Huh? I'm your daughter too. Love me too. I'm doing everything I can to impress you. I was in heavy tears, but they didn't seem to have even the slightest amount of pity for me.
Well, if you're being entitled to our love just because we're your parents, then I disown you.
What?
You heard him right, stupid. From this moment, you cease to be our daughter. Take your things and leave our house.
But I have nowhere to go. Please don't do this to me.
You could try sleeping in the streets. Make friends with your soon-to-be fellow homeless people.
I could hear the mockery in her so-called advice. I was sad. I didn't think my parents would ever disown me over my results. I went on my knees and begged them because I had nowhere to live except their house. Please don't kick me out. I could stay in your house as a stranger, if that's what you want. I could get a part-time job too. Just don't kick me out. I beg you.
Daddy, I'm getting irritated by her, please. Should I throw her bags out myself?
Oh, sweetheart, how can I let an intelligent young lady like you touch a loser's bag? I'll do it myself.
My father dashed into my room, took my things, and threw them out carelessly.
I never want to see you again, loser. Leave my house.
I tried to beg my mom, but she pushed me away roughly. Without a choice, I took my things and walked away, dejected. I was left alone on the streets, hungry and in tears. I'd also only finished my first year. I worried about where to get the money to further my education. I got a job at a multi-purpose factory 2 weeks later, but I lived on the streets for 2 whole months before I was able to get myself a small apartment. Although it was quite uncomfortable, I endured it. Life at the factory was insanely stressful, but the pay covered up for the stress. The next month, I already had my tuition fee. I spoke to the manager about working part-time.
This is going to cut a quarter out of your salary.
I was fine with that. I agreed and continued my education while working. Life was hard for me, but I was relentless. I maintained being in the top 5, ignoring my parents' obsession of topping the class. 3 years later, I was finally done. Fortunately, a month after, I got a better job at a successful company as the assistant marketing manager. I was also given a house and a company car. Those weren't my goals, but I was overjoyed knowing that I was slowly going up the ladder. Meanwhile, my sister came out as one of the best students. My parents were disappointed, as they expected her to maintain her streak until the end. However, they didn't lash out on her. 6 months later, she got a job as an assistant nurse. My parents were enraged.
Not even a nurse, but an assistant? We expected you to open up a hospital.
A hospital? Do you think it's that easy? How am I gonna open a hospital without money, huh?
Well, you better work hard to get a promotion and open a hospital soon. We need to start getting our money back.
But Sujin wasn't doing well at the hospital. In fact, she was the worst worker. Eventually, she was fired.
What? How dare you get fired?
How dare you yell at me? Did I fire myself? Huh?
Meanwhile, I, on the other hand, was the delicate egg of the company I worked for. I made the company grow bigger by working hard on the marketing of our products. Soon, we were one of the best. My salary was increased too. I saved up enough money and invested a lot. A year later, I was ready to start my own company. I informed them about it, and they were nice enough to support me by offering to be my first partner. With my great marketing skills, I was able to grow my company rapidly. 2 years later, I opened my second company. My family, however, were having it hard. Sujin couldn't get a lasting job. She was doing everything wrongly.
You used to top your classes. What's happening to you?
Top my classes, my ass!
What?
Yes, I knew you both loved me more than me, son. I needed to find a way to maintain that. Seeing how you glorified our cousins who topped their class, I thought I could go that way. So, I stole your money every session and paid the teachers to make me top the class. Did you wonder why it didn't happen during graduation? Because they didn't want my money anymore.
What are you saying?
I'm saying you ruined my life. I didn't even want to be a doctor. It was your dream, not mine.
My parents were shocked. To make it worse, they discovered, 2 weeks later, that my sister was pregnant and had no idea who owned the child. As if that wasn't enough, she tried to abort the baby, but it was the worst decision. She'd gone to a quack. My parents took her to a hospital and she was diagnosed with kidney issues in addition to her initial problem. My parents were heartbroken. For the first treatment, they had to sell their house to pay. They both squatted with my father's unmarried sister. I suddenly got a call from them.
Me, son, child, please help us. We don't have enough money for your sister's treatment and can barely even feed. Do something, please.
I could tell how desperate they were. I'm sorry, but I have no sister. I also have no parents, and I have no idea who you both are. Nor do I have any money to give to you.
Don't do this to us, me, son. We know you have 2 companies that are doing well. You're rich. You should help us because we took care of you.
Like I said, I don't know who you are. If you call me again, I'll be forced to report you to the cops. I wish you nothing but sadness. With that, I ended the call. They tried as hard as they could, but they eventually lost Sujin. Staying too long without treatment led to her death. My father's sister, who was housing them, also kicked them out since she was planning to get married. They were left without a house, money, or child. Last time I heard about them, I learned that they'd lost their minds and were roaming on the streets. I'm married to a lovely man who's completely different from my father, and he also loves our twin girls equally. That's all that matters. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
So long as you are living in our house, you will obey us and get a job and give us your paycheck. We will of course start giving you an allowance from it, so long as George has everything that he will need.
That isn't fair. Why does he get everything handed to him?
It's part of the privileges of being born first and a male.
We're twins though, and I have just as much potential.
You don't make me laugh.
Then prepare to laugh, you jackass, because I was accepted into medical school. Hi there, my name is Megan, and I'm in a bit of a difficult situation, and I would love to get your opinion on what I should have done differently. For starters, I have struggled all my life for any sort of recognition. My brother and I are twins, and even though I was born first, he was always given more attention. As I grew up, I realized that it was entirely because he was a male. My parents just saw me as inherently weaker just because I was born a girl. They never gave me a chance to prove that I was smart, and that I would amount to anything. My parents always just assumed that since I was a girl that I would disappoint them. My brother's name is George, and he was always spoiled. My parents would hire expensive tutors to help him get the best grades possible, and would hire coaches to help him perfect how to play various sports. Honestly, they signed him up for so many things that, looking back now, I wondered why he didn't have a nervous breakdown. But at the time, I was jealous. To me, it just looked like they were ignoring me and giving all their attention and love to him. It made me so furious at them.
Okay, so George, your piano practice is at 3 and your track and field coach will pick you up from practice and train you until 7 tonight. So make sure that you bring a snack so you don't pass out again.
Yes, Mom?
Hey, I would love to learn piano. Can I take lessons as well?
You? Are you kidding? Why on earth would we waste money on a loser like you? Megan, the only thing you will ever be good for is marrying a rich man and giving him lots of babies. But I have no doubt that you will probably screw that up too somehow.
Mom? Why would you say that?
It's just reality, Megan. Your brother has way more potential than you do. Now stop wasting my time.
It was infuriating, and at the time I hated my brother for it, even though it wasn't really his fault. Sadly, my father was even worse. And once my brother and I became teenagers, we were even given different food too. Our parents would spend lots of money on organic fruits and vegetables for my brother, along with steak and the best cuts of meat, whereas I was told to eat frozen dinners, which were terrible. Every meal, I would stare at my brother and watch him shovel expensive meals down his throat while I ate frozen dinners that cost a fraction of what he ate. Why does George get to eat so well and I have to eat this flavorless garbage?
We've been over this, Megan. George needs the best nutrition possible so that he can maintain his muscle mass and do well in sports. You don't play anything, and to be honest, you should probably eat less so that you don't become any fatter than you already are.
It was such a load of crap. I was actually the ideal weight, but that didn't stop their words from hurting my feelings. George, to his credit, kept silent. It would have been nice if he had stepped up to defend me, but either he didn't care or that he was afraid to. Either way, I was just as furious with him as I was with my parents, who were monsters. At any rate, there really wasn't much I could do. But then my dad broke his leg, and while we were in the hospital, I saw how the doctors and nurses cared for him, and I knew that that was what I wanted to do with my life. Even though my family treated me like a complete loser, I wanted to help make other people's lives better by helping them in their time of need. It was hard going, of course, because my parents would never in a million years pay for me to go to school. So I got a part-time job in secret and started saving money. I knew that I would have to rely on scholarships and to get a student loan, but it would all be worth it. Finally, when I graduated from high school, I applied to medical school and was accepted. I was even given a scholarship that would cover a large portion of my expenses and even included a dorm room as well. It was then that things really took a hard turn for me, though.
Okay, so the two of you have finally graduated from high school, which means it's time for George to go away for school. Megan, that means that you can't slack off anymore. It's time for you to get a job so that you can help pay for your brother's schooling.
Why would I do that? Can't he get a job and help himself? Why can't you guys pay for it on your own?
Don't be so selfish, Megan. If you help George now, he might even take pity on you later in life and make sure that you don't end up living on the streets. So long as you are living in our house, you will obey us and get a job and give us your paycheck. We will, of course, start giving you an allowance from it, so long as George has everything that he will need.
That isn't fair. Why does he get everything handed to him?
It's part of the privileges of being born first and a male.
We're twins, though, and I have just as much potential.
You don't make me laugh.
Then prepare to laugh, you jackass, because I was accepted into medical school.
How dare you speak to your father that way? And with what money do you plan to use to pay for this school?
I've had a part-time job for years, plus I have a scholarship to help out as well.
So you have money already, and you think you can just be selfish and use it for yourself?
I've worked hard for it. It's my money to decide what to do with it.
Megan, if you go to that school, then you are never welcome back here.
To be honest, that was my plan to begin with. I knew it would be hard, but I had no intentions of ever going back home after I went to college. The years studying to become a doctor were very hard, but in the end, it was all worth it. I made friends in school that became roommates later until I could afford a place on my own. The holidays hurt and were a bit depressing since I was all on my own. But it was worth it to know that I had made something of myself and that I was making a difference in the world. The years passed, and I started to really make a name for myself at the hospital that I was working for, when suddenly I got a call one day saying that someone was in the emergency room and was asking for me. When I went down, I saw that it was George, and he did not look very well. "Hey, George, what are you doing here?"
Hey, Megan. Listen, I know that I have no right to ask this of you, but can you please help me? I'm here because I overdosed. Please, I need your help to get clean and away from Mom and Dad.
My heart was breaking for him, and even though I didn't know if it was a good idea or not, I chose to help him. "Yes, I will help you. But why are you here, and why do you want to get away from Mom and Dad?"
Well, I got injured while playing sports, and rather than taking time to heal, Mom and Dad started giving me painkillers to make me numb so that I could keep playing. It didn't take long before I started needing the pills more and more, and I got addicted. They knew this, and so they used them to control me. Whenever they wanted me to do something, they would threaten to cut me off if I didn't do as I was told. Please, Megan, I really need to get help. I can't keep living like this.
I promised that I would help him, and I brought him to my house and gave him some new clothes and a hot meal. He was incredibly grateful, and the next day, when I was at work, he spent the entire day cleaning my house and even made us dinner. It was incredibly unexpected, and considering how he was still under the weather, it was incredibly sweet of him to do so. For weeks, he kept doing things like that. He even began repairing little things around the house that I had neglected. I told him that he didn't have to, but he said that it helped him to keep busy. Around that time, I helped him sign up for a rehab program and became his sponsor. It was a difficult journey for him, but with my help, he stayed clean, and I even helped him get a job as a contractor. He had shown that he was very skilled at house construction and repairs. It made him happy to work repairing people's houses, and it kept him occupied and drug-free. However, one day I came home to find my parents on my front porch banging on the door.
George, let us in. You've had enough of a vacation, but it's time to come home.
Yes, George. We need you to make money to help us. You wouldn't want us to starve, would you?
We have your medication. Surely you need a fix by now.
What is wrong with you people? He finally got clean, and here you are trying to use his addiction to manipulate him. Have you no shame?
Oh, look, it's the loser that is trying to steal our son from us.
Just mind your own business, idiot. George, you come out right now.
I was so angry that I pushed them both off my porch, and they landed in a muddy puddle. They had grown rather frail, and it was very easy to overpower them. With them out of the way, I unlocked the door and slipped inside before locking it again. George was inside and was in tears. I finally realized that he had been traumatized by our parents just as much, if not worse than myself. I held him and comforted him while I called the police and had our parents dragged away. I then applied to get a restraining order put on them so that they couldn't come anywhere near my home, which of course they broke, resulting in them serving jail time. After that, they stopped harassing us for some time. I knew deep down that they wouldn't give up, but I also knew that I needed to protect my brother from them. And so it went on like that for a couple years, until I heard that my parents had been forced to move into an assisted living home. Without my brother giving them money, though, they were forced to move into one that they could afford. And I knew that it was a terrible place. The staff weren't medical professionals and treated their patients like animals. They lasted a few years there before they passed away. Neither George or myself went to either of their funerals, but I am happy to say that we are doing great. It's so amazing to have my brother in my life, and although we have a small family, we are incredibly happy and spend all the holidays with each other. The only thing I regret is all the years that our parents kept us apart. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.
Hey, baby girl.
Mother, what are you doing with this guy?
He's my new husband, and don't criticize him. He's better looking than your dad.
Shut up! I will never accept him as my father.
You don't have to. Get out!
What do you mean? I live here too.
No, you don't. Get out. I don't want to see you anymore. My new husband is living here now.
Hey, I'm Jordan. When I was growing up, I lived with my mom, Emily, and Frank in the countryside. It's a bit different from the usual stories because, in our house, I was the one who had to do all the chores, not my brothers. Our home was surrounded by green hills and endless meadows. Even though the scenery was nice, my childhood was filled with sweeping floors, washing dishes, and taking care of the farm animals. I was the one with all the work, while my brothers, Eric and Jared, got to enjoy themselves without lifting a finger. My mom felt they were not cut out for farm work. Not only did I have to do all the tasks, I didn't have much time for myself. My mom was also not very good at making me like myself.
You dress like a boy, Jordan.
That's because I have to carry and lift the soil and do all the work.
No wonder no one wants to go out with you. You are plain looking too. When I was your age, I was so much more good looking.
Maybe you can help me look better.
What for? No one would be interested in you anyway.
I hated my mother growing up. For years, she would also criticize my cleaning, and she never stopped saying how much I was a terrible cook and would never make anyone a good wife. I felt terrible, and many nights I ended up crying myself to sleep. By the time I turned 18 years old, I had enough and moved to a different town to go to a community college and become a teacher. I applied for a student loan, so I was happy to get out of my family for a while. A few years later, I came back home to visit and learned that my dad was alone because my mom had run off with an old high school friend she found on Facebook. My dad was the total opposite of my mom. He was quiet, calm, and never liked getting into arguments. However, his flaw was that he never stood up for himself or for other people like me. My mom was the aggressive one in the family, and he always backed down and let her have her way. Still, Dad agreed to divorce Mom. My brothers were not at home, and both finished high school and decided to backpack around the world. While I was gone studying for my teaching degree, I learned that my mother had cleaned out my room and sold off some of my prized record collections, as well as autographed copies of some singers. I was angry, but couldn't do too much because my mother was not around. After the divorce, I continued to teach in the city, and Dad hired people to help look after the farm. He didn't feel confident that my brothers were around enough to work. One day when I went home, I heard a familiar voice.
Hey, my little duckling.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing here?
Your father and I are back together, just so you know.
Really? I thought you got married and lived in Europe.
Donald? That bum. All he did was go to casinos and laze around the household. That idiot said he worked for the bank, but he was just a mail sorter.
Well, I am happy you and Dad are back together again.
Just so you know, next time you choose to drop in, call first. It's rude to drop in.
But we are family.
What, you bitch? You don't remember when you turned 18, you left and walked away, leaving us to feed the animals and milk the cows. Jared and Eric are not made for this type of work, only you. You left us with lots of work.
Fine, see you. I left the house angry at my mom once again, but before I turned my back, I kissed my dad goodbye. He didn't respond much, and I suspected that at the age of 65, he may be having symptoms of dementia. I felt bad about leaving, but promised to stay in touch. For the next 5 years, I dropped in around Christmas time to visit with my dad, who was now confined to a wheelchair. My mother urged me to stay on to care for my dad because she wanted to go to Europe and travel with my brothers. I quit my teaching job to care for my dad. I also took care of the animals, and it was as though everything was back to when I was a child. It wasn't long before my dad passed away, leaving the house to my mother. She didn't attend the funeral because she said she hated to be depressed. She told me to write to her and tell her all about it. My brothers declined to attend as well. Finally, one day, my mother arrives with a man who is her age. He looks Greek, and his name is Stephos. She takes me to another part of the house and tells me something shocking.
Hey, baby girl.
Mother, what are you doing with this guy?
He's my new husband, and don't criticize him. He's better looking than your dad.
Shut up! I will never accept him as my father.
You don't have to. Get out!
What do you mean? I live here too.
No, you don't. Get out. I don't want to see you anymore. My new husband is living here now.
I was so surprised. I hurried to my room and packed a few things. I planned to go back to the city and look for a job as a teacher. Times were tough, but I managed to find a job as a trainer for a tech company. I eventually got training gigs in various countries, including Singapore and Germany. One day, when I was at my 12th floor office in downtown London, Eric, my brother, texted me with an important message.
Baby sister, how are you doing?
Not too bad. Going to hang out with friends at the newest Michelin star restaurant? How's everything?
Terrible. Mom's been drinking a lot. She and her new husband, Stephos, are always fighting nightly. Sis, I need some money to get my car out of the ditch.
Ask Mother. Where's your money?
I don't have any. Mother never encouraged me to get a job. Jared and I finished high school and hope to make money as an influencer on TikTok. but we partied too much and can't concentrate on the videos. You are the one with the skills. We don't even know how to work at a fast food restaurant.
Not my problem. I showed you how to take care of the animals, but you and Jared never seemed interested, always caring about going on the next trip.
All the money's gone, Jordan. My mother and her new husband made some bad investments. We are all going to lose our house and family farm. You gotta help us.
No way. It was true. My other brother, Jared, also called me to explain that the family farm would be on the auction block. My mother and her new husband were kicked out and living in a tent in a park. Jared asked me to help buy back the farm for $100,000. I said I would think about it and hung up. Because I managed to make some wise investments, I made a few inquiries and talked to a lawyer to help me buy back the family farm. After a few calls, I was the successful bidder. As soon as I bought back the farm, I took a look at the books, and I figured that I could expand our current milk business and add other products like cheese, eggs, honey, and other items. I would focus on organic products. Fortunately, many of the big grocers took on my wholesale business, and everything was booming. One day, while I was out making sure the animals were healthy, I received a visitor.
My daughter, my only daughter, I need your help.
What are you doing here? Can't you see that I am busy?
Don't treat your only old mom like this. I just kicked my alcohol habit and got rid of Stephos. Let me come live with you and help you out. I have great business ideas.
Get out of here. You're only my mom in blood only. You never treated me like a daughter and always insulted me. I don't care about you anymore. Crying? You know how many days and nights that I cried when you abused me when I was young and kicked me out of the house when I was older.
I was not thinking. I loved you always.
My mom spent the next 10 minutes pleading with me to take her back. But I turned a blind ear and I had to get a few of my farm helpers to kick her out of the property. A few weeks later, I got a text from Eric that him and his brother were in a Mexican jail because they were caught selling drugs to locals in Los Cabos. My mother was also in the female section of the prison. My family members were caught dealing drugs. Eric asked for my help, but I refused to help them with lawyers or provide them with any other consular assistance. I had enough with my family and refused to forgive them for my abusive childhood. Today, my business is thriving, and I am dating a local farmer, Daniel, who cares about me. I don't communicate with my family anymore. What would you do? Do you think I am too harsh?
You stupid girl. You're just like your mother. I knew it was a bad idea letting a woman so low to marry my precious son. Stop crying, stupid. Your voice makes my skin crawl.
Yes, that's my father-in-law, Mr. Roberts. My name is Rosaline, and I've been married to my husband, Christopher, for 8 years. We have 2 kids together, aged 6 and 4. Our first child, Jack, was born 2 years after our wedding, and his sister, Michelle, was born 2 years after him. We're planning to relocate our family to the UK after living with my in-law in their mansion for the whole 8 years. Christopher is a medical doctor, while I'm a nurse. He attended a well-known medical school, while I attended an average one. We met during our interview at the hospital we both worked at, and immediately connected. We only dated for about 6 months before Christopher and I decided that we were ready to get married. On the day he took me to his parents, I knew there would be problems. His kind mother liked me instantly, but I couldn't say the same for his father.
What job do you do, young lady?
I'm a nurse at the same hospital where Christopher works, sir.
Oh? What school did you attend?
The moment I answered that question, he changed.
That's an average school. Are your parents poor?
Honestly, my parents, before their death, weren't wealthy, but they did the best they could for me. They died after I graduated from high school, so I had to do part-time jobs to see myself through college. When I told my father-in-law that, he flared up.
What? An orphan? How dare you think I will accept this marriage, Christopher? She not only attended a school below our standard, she's also an orphan. I love Rose, father. Please, don't talk down on her and give us your blessings.
It took quite a long time before Mr. Roberts eventually allowed us to get married. I knew he hated me, but my mother-in-law's kindness was enough for me. At the wedding, when it was time to give his speech, he took his time to embarrass me as much as he wanted.
Honestly, I'd wanted a better girl for my son. I worked my ass off to gain this wealth. I also made sure to send my son to the best medical school. So it's quite a shame that he's decided to marry a girl that's not only a poor orphan, but also below his league. Anyway, since they claim to love each other, do I have a choice to oppose?
I was utterly embarrassed, but I held it all in with a smile. Before the wedding, my father-in-law had asked us to live with him in his mansion. His reason:
You're both busy. It would be better to have your family here with us. We'll take care of the kids while you're away.
I thought it was a great suggestion, so we agreed. After our honeymoon, we began living with them. My father-in-law was even worse. He would intentionally bring his friends over while I was off duty at the hospital.
This is my daughter-in-law. I'm quite ashamed as she went to a low-class college, but what can a father do? My son wanted a classless woman.
Right in my face, he would join hands with his friends to mock me. I took it in as I respected him. When I had Jack, my father-in-law was the happiest.
He has such a striking resemblance with me and his father. My boy.
I was glad. He didn't like me, but he loved my son. It was enough for me. Whenever I wasn't home, he would take care of Jack. He made sure my son never lacked anything. Although he still made fun of my educational level every opportunity he got, I was consoled by the fact that he loved my son. However, I was mistaken. I realized that when I had my second child, Michelle.
A girl? Ugh, she looks so much like her poor mother. It would have been better if she looked like me or Christopher.
How could he make such a comment about a newly born? I was angry, but I let it slide. As the children grew up, my father-in-law got worse. He showed it to the kids who his favorite grandkid was. Often, I would return from work to meet my daughter isolated in the living room, while my son was with his grandfather. I was sad, but I knew there was nothing I could do. Christopher noticed his father's behavior one day, when the man left home for their day trip and returned home on the third day with only a gift for Jack.
Grandfather, didn't you get one for Michelle? She loves chocolate too.
My father-in-law dismissed his question with a smile. My son crawled to his sister after my father-in-law left and offered her some of his.
Are you sad about what grandfather did?
No, I know grandfather doesn't like me.
I was broken. The child knew he didn't like her. That was a shame. That day, Christopher and I took the kids out for ice cream. We also made them play games and do everything they wanted together. When we returned home and put the children to sleep, Christoph and I decided to have a question about it. He hates her because she looks like me. He could just punish me. Why does he have to involve my child? It's so unfair. I was getting close to tears. It was so sad that he was being that way to my daughter.
I think you should quit your job, honey. I earn enough to take care of us all, so you can quit. You can be able to watch over the kids yourself and stop my dad's favoritism.
Do I have to quit? Can't you just talk to him about it? I love being a nurse. I can't quit my job. We thought for a while, and Christopher had another suggestion.
I'll speak to Mother then. She'll help with Michelle whenever Father takes Jack.
I didn't like that it had to resort to that. I didn't want to separate my kids. I wanted them to grow up having each other's back and loving themselves. Do we have to make the kids be raised that way? Your father's going to influence our son soon? Is that when we're going to actually make a move towards stopping him?
I have plans, Rose. I plan to move our family to the UK. That's why I'm working so hard. Please understand.
I agreed, and we spoke to my mother-in-law. She advised us to work harder and leave quickly before my father-in-law succeeded in making my son like him. Christopher and I worked 2 times harder. While we worked, the few times we were home, we always reminded our kids about the need to love each other and never let anyone come between them. Jack was smart. I knew he loved his sister, but he was still a kid and could be swayed, so we continuously worked on preventing that from happening. My mother-in-law also helped. Whenever we weren't available, she brought the kids together to remind them of the need to always love and protect each other. Once, during Thanksgiving, while I was preparing the food, my father-in-law walked into the kitchen to meet Jack and I there. Jack loved to watch me cook.
What? How dare you bring my grandson in here?
He's my son, father, and my son loves to watch me cook. I don't see how that's a problem.
It is a problem, Rosaline. My grandson does not belong to the kitchen. Your daughter should be here, not my precious grandson.
Why? He wants to be here.
Well, I don't care. I'm taking him with me. You can call that child of yours who looks as greedy and poor as you to be in the kitchen.
I watched as he picked up Jack and took him away. My mother-in-law soon walked in.
Pay no attention to his words, darling. I'll be here with you.
Together, we prepared the meal. 2 months later, my son celebrated his 6th birthday. My father-in-law got him the best gifts. However, for my daughter's 4th birthday, she didn't get even as much as a wish from him. My husband, her brother, my mother-in-law, and I made it memorable for her. We got her as many colorful gifts as we could get, and showered her with wishes and birthday songs. Christopher and I already got a house in the UK, and were processing our travel documents. Only my mother-in-law was aware about it. 2 months later, it was my grandfather's birthday. I was slicing the cakes in the kitchen when I heard him yelling. Alerted, I quickly dropped the knife and dashed upstairs to where his voice sounded from, which was his room.
You stupid girl. You're just like your mother. I knew it was a bad idea letting a woman so low to marry my precious son. Stop crying, stupid. Your voice makes my skin crawl.
I felt furious. How could he say they to a 4-year-old? Worst of it, my daughter was in tears, staring at the floor. I felt my heart sink. My husband and mother-in-law came in too. I was about to speak, but my son beat me to it.
Why are you being unfair to Michelle, grandfather? She only asked if you wanted to play with her, and you hit her and said all that. Do you hate her, grandfather?
My heart sank even deeper. My young son had noticed his bitterness toward my daughter, whose only offense was to look like her mother.
Yes, I hate her. I only love you, Jack. Your sister's good for nothing. She's just like your mother. They're both useless.
That's enough, Mr. Roberts. How dare you say that to my children's faces? Are you so shameless?
You know, Father, I've tolerated how hostile and unfair you've been toward my daughter. How dare you think you can try to separate my kids? Kids, Jack is your only child. You should kick this poor woman and her child out. They don't deserve you. The girl is going to grow up like her mother, stupid and foolish.
That's enough from you, Roberts. Are you insane? You've been this way from the time we got married. You even made me abort our 2nd child because you thought she would grow up to become like me. Now that's enough. I won't let you tear my son's family apart.
He was furious, hearing his wife speak so boldly. As he raised his hand to slap her, Christopher stopped him.
Not anymore, you evil man. I won't let you hit her anymore. You hear me?
I grabbed my kids.
Grandfather is a bad man. He doesn't like Michelle and wants me to hate her too.
You should be ashamed, Mr. Roberts. That day, we took our things and headed to a hotel. My mother-in-law followed. She'd had enough and was going to divorce him. Christopher and I worked on getting transferred, while my mother-in-law worked on their divorce. 2 months after staying at the hotel, we all left for the UK, excluding my father-in-law. My mother-in-law had gotten half his properties from their divorce. She sold it all to start a fresh life in the UK. She got a house of her own and started a clothing line there, while Christopher and I worked harder. We had a trusted maid who looked after our kids. It'd been 10 years now. We heard my father-in-law had stroke, and even at the hospital, he wasn't so kind to the nurses, and so the nurses treated him horribly. He ended up dying alone. We've been at peace, and our kids are growing with love. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.